Welcome back to the DaliTalks podcast. I'm really excited to bring to you today a great speaker, Brittany Anderson. She is a military supporter and a wife of a retired military member, and she has created an incredible resource for families to give them support. So, Brittany, welcome. How are you?
Caring for others is part of your life, but it's not all of it. This is your space for growth, confidence, and connection to the whole you. Welcome to the DaliTalks podcast.
Hey, Dali, great to be here. Yes, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. We connected through Candace, who's amazing.
Mhm.
And when she told me about you, I just had to have you on here because, of course, I was military, then I became a military spouse. And it's like I got the two sides kind of because I was still active duty, but I was still a spouse.
Mhm.
And I saw the challenges. And then the civilian, dependents of military members go through so much and they need so many resources. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you created your organization.
Yeah, I mean, it was really birthed out of nearly getting divorced in 2019. And so, yeah, my husband and I nearly went through divorce. Military marriages are incredibly hard. I don't think the general public realizes how challenging they are. You move all the time, you're faced with so much uncertainty. For me as a spouse too, it was just having to kind of recreate myself every couple 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
And that's a long time even for some military families. Some are moving every year. So we didn't even move as much as so many of them do. But yeah, it got to a point, I was building my career. I was a journalist, and then I had worked in several leadership roles, and yeah, moving around so much. This was before COVID, made remote work possible for most people.
Mhm.
I was just trying to make it all work and have a family and have the career that I wanted. And we had ended up back in DC, which is where we started. We got married in DC. I was a journalist there. We ended up back there because he was selected to first fly Air Force Two and then later Air Force One. And the schedule was demanding, as you might imagine. And we just found we were going in completely opposite directions. I had gone back to graduate school. I had, got my dream job, and we were just going in completely separate directions. And we were there for the kids, but in terms of each other, it was just really hard.
Yeah. I
And yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm
No,
sure you can relate.
oh yeah, I can relate to
Mm,
the struggles in marriage because for some reason it's just going different directions does pull you apart naturally, and you
mhm.
really have to be conscious of that so that you can stay together and support one another. And it impacts everything. And also, like you said, having to move every couple of years, that's a lot. And I think people know it, but don't really, like you said, understand how that impacts you, not just you, but the children.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
many,
Absolutely.
so many mental aspects of
Hmm.
each individual.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, not having a stable support system or help nearby either. It's challenging. And really what brought us back together was it wasn't therapy. In fact, really wasn't helpful for us because going every couple weeks and then with his schedule, we were having to miss a lot, and it just was really not helping us. And in some ways was counterproductive. But for us, I started working with a coach in late 2019. And that's when things really started to turn around for us. They started really helping me disrupt the stories I was telling myself about him, about our family, about our military life and career and all of the things. And so kind of out of that, we developed a vision, a purpose, a set of values for our family. And then I went on to get my coaching certification in 2021 because I think I'm good at this and want to help other women who are like me. But the more I got into it after getting certified, starting our business, the more I was discovering that as these women that I was helping were growing, it was actually widening the gap in their relationships. So if they were growing, but their family wasn't coming along with them, it was causing some conflict and actually causing some issues because the family was kind of like, who is this person? um, and so they weren't all growing together. And that's when I really started to think about this as a family uh, initiative to really support families in all growing and understanding each other better, having that shared vision, purpose, values, and building systems and commitments to each other that were rooted in a shared understanding of who they are as individuals and as a family. And so Renala was really birthed out of that. Renala is named after the baobab trees in Africa because we ask families, what if your family tree became less about the past and more about the future?
Mm.
And so we help, drive families towards that future family tree. What's in the past is in the past, but what do they want for the future? And so I became obsessed with play in part because I wanted to engage children in the process. But then the more I got into it, I got certified in Lego serious play, some experiential narrative practice certification, and some others, and just discovered play is just as powerful for parents as it is for kids. Because play is super important now because most of us are sitting behind screens all day. And so reawakening that culture of play and connection inside families is so important. And so that's really what we do. We guide them through a facilitated process that uses Legos, art, games, storytelling, and other different modalities that feels just non-threatening because you're just playing, but you're doing a lot of work together. You're actually learning about each other. You're growing together. You're creating day-to-day habits and making commitments to each other that actually work. And so we're doing this in retreat format. We're doing this in something we call play shops. We're doing a cruise next year for families, which we're super excited about. We're also doing a lot of work with couples because sometimes couples need to do the work before the entire family is ready to do it. And so we have some couples retreats coming up at Disney in 2026. So a lot coming down the pike, and and then obviously some one-on-one work as well that we do either at our home or at another location, including wherever the family lives. We can certainly travel to them. So and then we do a lot of strengths coaching as well. We do a lot of work with Clifton Strengths because there's an assessment for adults, but there's also an assessment for kids, which we love. And so it really helps a family better understand how to support each other's unique genius and strengths, and how to encourage their kids and help their kids and know what their kids need, what their spouse needs, through the lens of their strengths. What are those, and what are some of the conflict patterns associated with strengths that where an overuse of strength can actually become a weakness? And so helping families really unpack that and understand that as well. So that's that in a nutshell. I know it's a little long-winded, but a lot to cover.
That's all right. Oh, I love it. Very thorough. You mentioned a lot of things here. So first of all, therapy. Oh my gosh. I don't think a lot of people admit that therapy doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to find something outside of the box to work out whatever's going on. And I applaud you because that takes courage too. And it can be exhausting emotionally to have to go from like, okay, I tried therapy, it didn't work. What now? It's scary. So I commend you for that, both of you, for working on that. And then it's beautiful that you created Renala out of this. You're helping so many more families. And you mentioned Lego serious play. I've never heard that before. Could you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, well, just to go back, I don't want to completely, tear down therapy because it's very helpful for a lot of people. And I think it's finding the right therapist is super important. Not all of them are good. And so it's really helpful to find the right one. But, with that said, there's a lot of research out there that shows that talking aloud is not as effective as activating the body. And so that's why we use Legos and other modalities to help activate the body. When you're using both of your hands, you're activating up to 80% of your brain, whereas if you're just talking aloud, you're only activating 15%. And so we're able to cover a lot of ground a lot more quickly because we're guiding them through a process that's using their hands, activating their body, and they're uprooting things that they didn't even know were inside of them. It's incredibly powerful work. And so Lego Serious Play is a tool that actually Lego developed back in the 90s to really support their staff in being more innovative and creative. But then it really caught on, and they discovered that this was really effective. And now they have a certification program, which I got certified in a couple years ago, that really helps you guide. Most of the time it's used in organizations. I don't know of anybody else who's actually using it with families like we do. Most of the time it's used in organizations as a strategy development tool or a team building tool. We use it in families. It's incredibly powerful there as well. And really it's not Lego Masters. Like a lot of people think Legos, are you just building the most elaborate structure? Most of these things that people build are not attractive. Like they're not pretty. If you looked at them, you have no idea what they mean. But to the person who created them and shared about them, they are packed with meaning. Because it's all about how you create meaning and metaphor and stories with the different bricks and different pieces. And so these are specially designed kits. It's not like you can just go to Target and grab a box of bricks and do this type of work. They're specially designed kits for this work. They have specific pieces in them. But it's incredibly powerful. And most of us played, if you didn't play with Legos, you played with blocks or some type of building toy as a kid. And so, we'll have families come to us and maybe the one spouse is like, my spouse is going to come, but he's not going to talk, or she's not going to talk, or she's not going to participate, or he's not going to participate. And we get them playing Legos, and before you know it, they're pouring their hearts out within just a few minutes. It's really remarkable because it's that childlike play and that wonder that activates something inside of us that allows us to heal and allows us to connect to parts of ourselves that maybe we've lost.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it's really
really
powerful.
interesting. It's
Hmm.
really interesting what you said. That about 80% of the
Hmm.
activations movement. That's incredible. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And I'm the type of person who, I don't know why, but I cannot really, I have to force myself to play games like that because I'm more of like, I have to be running or something.
Yeah.
So, so with the kids, it's always been something that I've struggled with. And I was like, oh, I wonder, this would probably, because it's very different. But
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not alone. A lot of parents say the same thing, that they struggle to sit down and
oh,
play with their
okay.
kids. But this really does help kind of reawaken that play, because I'm getting you into a flow state. And
Mhm.
so that's helping you kind of just get into this motion where you just lose track of time
Right.
and time and space, and you're just in the zone. And so, yeah, that this can be a really powerful way to discover play again, make it not feel like a chore or something you have to do, but just to explore what play can look like in the day to day as well.
So how does this happen? Is it that you give them this as an assignment or you do like a Zoom thing? Because I'm assuming you work with everybody wherever they are. Um, yeah, how
Yeah.
does it work?
Yeah, so we have some different resources for families. We're kind of in a transition period because we did have an online community that we just closed down. It was just really challenging for families to commit to regular Zoom calls. And so we're kind of shifting that more to a newsletter format where we're providing exercises each month to families to do similar work, whether it's using Legos or just objects that they're going to already have in their homes.
Mhm.
And so we can do that type of work virtually. We do our strengths work virtually, and typically a family's going through that strengths program before they come to do a retreat or a one-on-one play shop with us. And so we're in Orlando, which we moved here after my husband retired last year because it was a strategic move in a lot of ways, because families are already coming here at least once for vacation, right? Most of us are going to Disney World at least once, taking
Yeah.
our kids. And so we wanted to be kind of in that place where families were already naturally coming so that we could support them. So, I mean, we've done something as silly as, setting up Legos for 2 hours in a hotel lobby with a family because they have like half a day to work with us, or they come and they do their vacation, but they also want to tack on 1 to 3 days with us, which we do in person. And it is a process. I try to keep it fairly loose and be in the moment. Like I'll go into a play shop with some general ideas of how it's going to go, but sometimes it goes in completely different directions. And so it's just being open to wherever it needs to go, and yeah, just facilitating a process that provides the family what they most need. So yeah, we're using the Legos, we're using some art. Families close out our time together by building a family crest, which I give to a graphic designer to turn into a beautiful art piece that they want to hang in their home. And so, yeah, we're using a lot of different tools to get to the goal of how best to serve them in ways that are going to help them go home and really feel connected and anchored every single day.
Yeah, I love that. You also wrote a book. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Mhm. Of course, yeah, we just released a book on October 14th. It's called Living Room Leadership. And it's really based on this whole idea that leadership begins at home. We've been saying that for several years, and now we really wanted this book to kind of illustrate how true that is, and how true that was for us. When we started healing in 2019, Jeff had reached the top of his military career. He was flying the president, and just our growth together at home and our making our commitments to each other at home, that yielded so much growth for him at work. He just showed up differently. He was leading differently. I remember at his retirement ceremony, just all of the amazing things that were said about him a year ago when he retired. And he credits a lot of this to the work that we were doing as a family, and how that was pouring over into the way he was leading at work. The same was true for me. I was in a corporate leadership role, starting a side hustle business. And yeah, this work as a family really changed the way I was showing up as well. Because I think when you do the work to better understand your family, with their identity, their strengths, their needs, and building that vision, purpose, values, building that strong culture at home, it spills over into the way that you lead at work. And so this book is really about how to do that, how to build that strong culture at home and apply those lessons that you're learning. Because the home is a safer space. People are, they're not always very forgiving, but generally they're going to be more forgiving than, a team at work is going to be to try to test and do things differently and lead differently. And so this book is really, it's a 9-part, it's our 9-part framework of the way we work with families through this Be, Do, Have blueprint. And it's, yeah, understanding each other on an individual level, identity, strengths, needs, building that shared purpose, vision, and values, and then building commitments, creating systems, and building that culture of play. So those are those 9 pieces. And each chapter walks you through those 9 pieces of how to lead well through the lens of your family. And this idea that leadership begins at home.
I love that. Where can it be purchased?
Yeah, so you can go to livingroomleadershipbook.com to grab it. It's also, if you just go to Amazon and search Living Room Leadership, it should pop up for you. I know livingroomleadershipbook.com. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but that link works as well.
Yeah. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and make sure it's linked here in the show notes. I love the title too. It's so homey and attractive. So yeah, definitely if I was walking by, I'd pick it up. I'm like, oh, what is this? I like that you have a set of frameworks that people can follow. I think having good structure is definitely helpful and something that's easy to follow and something that you can enjoy doing. So if a parent listening right now is thinking, oh, where do I even start? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. It's parenting is hard, especially in today's culture. Marriage is hard in today's culture. I mean, we are more isolated than ever. I think there was a study out this week that just showed, I think 60% of 40-year-olds are lonely. I mean, I don't quote me on that. It was something around that number. And the loneliness epidemic, we've been seeing that more and more. And that's happening in families too. Just because you're married with kids doesn't mean you're not feeling lonely. I think a lot of us are feeling that way. We have a assessment that we just rolled out a couple of months ago called the Family Score Assessment. And so that's a great place to get started. That can really help you evaluate where your family's at based on those 9 key areas that I just talked about. And it will give you a score, an overall score, as well as a score in the B sphere, which is your identity, strengths, needs, understanding your family on an individual level. A score in the have sphere, which is the vision, purpose, values, how anchored is your family in those areas, and then understanding and then a score in the do sphere, the commitments, your systems, and your culture of play in your family. So it'll give you an overall score and then a score in each of those 3 spheres so that you can understand how to take next steps in ways that are going to be most productive and powerful for you, whether it's that B sphere, do sphere, or have sphere. So it helps you, it gives you action steps to take. So you can take that at leadwithfamily.com. That's LEAD withfamily.com, which is our website. It's right on the website, the homepage, so it should be easy to find. But that's a great way to get started, to kind of level set and understand, where's my family at, and what are some steps I can take to get some immediate traction and progress in ways that are helpful in the day to day.
Thank you. And my other question is also, because you teach about leadership starting in our living room, so where do you think parents are intentionally undermining their own leadership at home? Because honestly, I think I did that and didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm guilty of that too, for sure. I think oftentimes it's, how do we show up? How are we showing up? I think a lot of times, for me personally, I was wanting to be the hero to my kids all the time and kind of have this veil of perfection, and I was invulnerable and guarded. We have a powerful story of when I was getting my coaching certification in 2021. I remember as part of the certification, we had these weekend intensives, and would get up in front of the whole group. We would coach others in the cohort, and then they would coach us. Well, I had just gotten done with a session of being coached by another trainee in the cohort, and the trainer looked at me instead of looking at him at the end of this session. And she asked me how my guardedness and invulnerability impacted my daughter, who was around 9 or 10 at the time. And I didn't have an answer. I was just like, how did you know that? She could just see it in the way that I was being coached. And she knew, she was challenging me because she knew that was going to show up, not just at home, but if I was going to help others, that this was something I needed to address. And it was frustrating because Jeff and I had already done so much growth work at that point, and we were healing, and we felt like we had done so much work. And here I was like, oh, I have more work to do. And so I went home and I had this powerful conversation with him, because I knew that guardedness and invulnerability was showing up still in our marriage. And I had this powerful conversation with him. It lasted almost 2 hours. We were in the kitchen. The kids were playing loudly upstairs, wrestling or something, almost the whole time that we were talking. But the minute our conversation ended, the house fell silent. And our daughter came down the stairs in tears. And she opened up about something very personal for her, about a nightmare she'd been having that she'd been afraid to tell us about. And so it was as if me letting go enabled her to let go as well. And we weren't even in the same room together. Wow. And so I think there's this power in just, being committed and being vulnerable, being open with your family, and just the way you're showing up to your kids. They are reading it, whether good or bad. And that's why this work that we do with families is so powerful, because sometimes we don't even know how we're showing up until we, are using both of our hands and activating 80% of our brain. And there's things that are coming up for us that we didn't even know were there. And so, how we show up for our kids and for our spouse, for others, it has a tremendous impact on them that oftentimes we don't even realize until we have the courage to start to peel it back and step into it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That was a deep question you were asked. I mean,
Mhm.
as you said it, I'm asking myself, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna be thinking about this after we end the conversation because
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we're all a work in progress.
We
And
are.
then we also are sometimes very aware of the things that are extremely important that you need to fix. And sometimes you don't have the answers. So I'm glad that you're an additional resource to so many other options for people.
Mhm.
And I love that you have the assessment. I love assessments because I love
Yeah.
the self-discovery that, result from that. And you have the strength finder too.
Mhm.
I've done it and my kids have done it. And it's so interesting, like what you discover from another person doing it. So, and it's also really fun.
It
I think
is.
kids really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Our kids love it. We love it as a family. It's typically done in the workplace. I don't know of anybody else who really does the strengths work in families than us. That's why we've developed some of our own resources to kind of make it more applicable to family life. And so we look at, your strengths, but then what we call seeds, needs, and weeds.
Mhm.
And so that keeps with that tree metaphor, but your seeds are your unique contributions. Your needs are the needs of your strengths, how to cultivate and care for your strengths. And then your weeds are those overuse patterns where you're overusing the strength or underusing a strength to a point of weakness and in ways that can cause conflict. And so we help families kind of unpack their strengths through the lens of those seeds, needs, and weeds, and provide some unique resources that way. And so, because yeah, I think what Gallup generally gives you is generally more corporate
Mhm.
specific
Yeah.
than family specific. And so, yeah, we support families with the tools to lead well through the lens of their strengths at home as well. But and that it ends up spilling over to the way they lead at work. I think it makes the strengths work at work more effective because you're doing it at home in ways that really, really help you understand and grow in strengths. Because most parents are Gallup research has found that 77% of parents believe it's more important to correct their child's weaknesses than to activate their strengths.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Oh,
so,
I
yeah,
had to learn that the hard way.
is it any wonder that we're getting to adulthood battling imposter syndrome and comparison and burnout and overwhelm because we were growing up, um, just being more focused on correcting than catalyzing what's right about us.
Hmm.
And so it's super important. It's why we love supporting families with the strengths and the mindset to lead with strengths and lead what's right versus what's wrong.
Yeah, I commend you. It takes so much work, and especially as a couple, because sometimes in these situations, one is more uh, capable or like
Hmm.
they have the capacity, and the other one's not there yet. So it's really hard to
Yeah.
get there. And you guys have done this, and then you created this amazing framework to help so many families. So, Brittany, you've been working with families. What would you say is the biggest transformation you've seen in a family that you work with?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously our family. We do
Mhm.
this work every year, and we do a retreat together. Our family has just we operate on a different wavelength as a result of this work. We revisit it every year. We had a family that we did a retreat for a few months ago that they had an interesting dynamic because they were both very culturally different from completely different continents
Mhm.
and completely different cultural upbringings. And this was one of those examples where the wife came to me and said they were here for vacation and said, my husband is going to come. They had 3 kids. My husband's going to come, but he's not going to participate. He'll participate, but he probably won't talk. I said, okay, sure, no problem. I've done it before. I've seen it before. Um, and even just a few minutes in, he started opening up and opening up. And before you know it, he was pouring his heart out and apologizing for, his avoidance and tendency to overwork and all of these things. And I just remember at the end their 14-year-old son coming up to me and giving me the biggest hug and saying thank you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, and we've followed their journey since, and they're just operating again on a different wavelength. And just that 14-year-old boy, just the impact that in the look in his eyes, that I'll never forget that. So I feel like that's a really powerful example of what one way we've helped. But yeah, I mean, there's numerous examples. Yeah, this is powerful work, including, we just did a recent intensive with a couple and guided them through some things. He was in the military, retired, a lot of challenges, and they were on the brink of divorce when they walked in to see us. Walked in two different people and walked out two completely different people. And I remember them saying at the end, because we did this exercise where they kind of build a sculpt. It's not doesn't use Legos, but builds a sculpt with different objects and materials, and to kind of create the marriage that they wanted. And they looked at it and they said, I didn't even realize we wanted the same things. And here it is, like right in front of us.
Mhm.
And now they have this mental image. So when things get hard, it's not just like they've talked about the marriage they want. They actually have a picture of it, and it's packed with meaning. And they can go back and look at that picture and be reminded, oh yeah, this is what we want, and this is what we committed to. And so that's why this work is really powerful, because it's not just speaking it into existence, but it's actually building a physical picture, physical metaphor of what that looks like. And that ends up being incredibly powerful as they go forward and remember what they committed to. So yeah, lots of examples. It's powerful work, and we love serving families in this way.
Yeah, I love that example that of the boy hugging you. That's just a testament of how much it was needed, not just for the couple, but the kids too. And sometimes you don't realize how much they need it.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, so then what is next for you in the Renala community?
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned we have some things coming up in 2026. We are planning a cruise for families, so it's a 5-day cruise to the Caribbean. We're going to be obviously curating an experience for that, but also doing work on the ship during the days at sea. So you're going to learn how to connect as a family, using some Legos, some art, games. It's going to be amazing. So excited about that. I'm a little nervous about it because it's a bit of a risk. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But we've had this vision to do a cruise for a while, and we're just going to jump in and say we're doing it. So, and then we have a couple couples retreats coming up in April and November next year. So those are specific for couples. We're doing them at Disney World. So, great place to kind of reawaken some connection and some fun and play in your marriage. Yeah, so those are some big things coming up. We also are launching our strengths cohorts again. So we'll have some strengths training for families. That's a 6-week program, learning how to activate your strengths in your family and lead your children and lead your family and your marriage and your spouse through the lens of strengths, and understand each other through the lens of strengths. So those are kicking off. We'll be doing that cohort 4 times. And yeah, launching a newsletter, like I said, with some of these exercises to support families in the day-to-day. We also do work one-on-one as well. So if you're kind of feeling like, I'm ready to do this, but I don't know if my family's ready just yet, sometimes doing the work individually can help guide that process. In fact, that couple I just talked about, I had been working with her for 2 years before her husband was ready to do work together. And so sometimes it's a process, but it can building that slow trust when you're just doing the work can be really powerful. And so I do some one-on-one virtual coaching as well as in person. And then also we're also launching our living room leadership for organizations. And so getting our programs offered either as an employee benefit or working with their leaders. So anyone who's working in an organization who feels like they want this more holistic approach where they're supporting families and supporting their team to lead better at work through the lens of family and kind of, again, that holistic approach to leadership, we have a bunch of resources to support them in that. So yeah, a lot happening. Keeping
Yeah, exciting.
your for
Exciting.
sure.
That's wonderful. And can you please tell us your website so people can come and check out all of your services?
Sure thing. Yeah, it's leadwithfamily.com. That's LEADWITH family.com. So, and then we are on social, mostly active on LinkedIn, although just started getting Instagram going. So, but we're at Renala Families, and that's RENALA Families. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wow, it's very, very exciting. Yeah,
Awesome.
I feel like families can always have transformation through something like a vacation, like
Hmm.
the cruise that you're going to have. And I think a lot of times we are so focused on getting the kids to school, making sure that they're thriving in school, making sure that the house is taken care of. And then we forget about that fun part of, hey, let's take a family vacation.
Hmm.
And sometimes it helps you discover so much more about yourself
Yeah.
and your kids and the memories too. I know that's always been important for me. So yeah, thank you so much, Brittany, for
Yeah.
helping our military communities and really all families because you service everybody, not just military families.
We
So thank
serve all of them, yeah. We have a special heart for military families, obviously, because of it's our own story. And yeah, we're hoping to branch out and have a foundation at some point where we can serve more military families, more foster and adoptive families, as well as families who have a parent transitioning out of prison and back into their family as well. So
Oh wow.
yeah, lots of big vision for, yeah, supporting all kinds of families going forward.
Thank you, Brittany. I really appreciate making time to come and share about your services with my audience. And hopefully we'll have you back when you hit the next milestone and we're here to support.
Sounds good. It's so great to be with you. Thanks so much, Dali.
Thanks.
Hey, did you like that episode? I have an ask. Would you mind leaving me a review? It would really help me improve this podcast so that you can come back and keep listening. Also, don't forget to check me out at DaliTalks.com and follow me on social media at DaliTalks. Until next time.